Okay? And that's what makes eukaryotic cells so special. They're very complex. Prokaryotic cells have no nucleus. Okay? Eukaryotic cells have a nucleus. A nucleus directs the functions of the cell. Prokaryotic cells don't have that. They just have genetic material floating out there in the middle of the cell. Not very complex. Prokaryotic cells also have no membrane-bound organelles. Okay, prokaryotic cells have no membrane-bound organelles. Okay, and an organelle is basically a small compartment. A small compartment. Notice no nucleus, no membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotes then have membrane-bound organelles. Okay, have membrane-bound organelles. Okay, so looking again at our little slides, notice that the plant cell has lots of little compartments. That's lesson 3. What does the rough and smooth ER Golgi apparatus do versus animal cells? They have also very similar compartments. Okay, whereas the bacteria doesn't. It has just ribosomes floating out there, and DNA is a long strand circle thing. They're very simplistic. Remember, prokaryotes, their job is to grow, make babies, and die. That's pretty much it. That's all they do. Do they have jobs? Yes, but we'll talk more about that later. Okay, notice someone else answered this earlier. They said prokaryotic are, I like to say, very small. I'm not very technical. Someone said tiny, and I agree. They are very tiny. Okay, some of your brains can comprehend this. Mine doesn't really care to. Okay. Okay, so this is 1 to 10 micrometers in size. Okay, but I just call that very small. Eukaryotic, I call small. Okay, they are 2 to 1,000 micrometers in size. We'll talk about that in just a second. What is the unit of measure? Micrometer. It's a U with a line on the left-hand side. Isn't it weird? Micrometer. Well, it's got a U and then an M. The M stands for meter. What is it? Okay, so now a micrometer. Let me teach you a little bit of prior knowledge to help you out. Some of you might already have this, some might not. Okay, this right here is called a what?
Meter stick.
Meter stick. Notice it's not a yardstick. A yard is this long to 36. This is a meter stick. We as humans, like to measure stuff. It helps us understand the world. For a long time, we used this all over the place because it was just kind of what we did. Using feet and inches, and which was so complicated and so wow. Science eventually said, you know what, we're done with that. We're going to figure out a system we all can use that's a lot easier to use. For some reason, the United States has not done it, which I'm okay never doing it, but this system is so much better. What they did is they took the distance from the equator to the North Pole. They kept dividing it by 10 until they got this size of a stick. And they said, okay, we're going to call this a meter. Now if we have 10 meters together, we're going to call it a decameter. If we have 100 of them, we'll call it I forgot the name of it, hectometer. And keep going, 1,000 of these together is called a kilometer, right? Which you will see in your car. I go 1,000 kilometers an hour or something like that. Impossible, right? But same idea. In this class, though, we're talking about smaller than this. So the first thing we do is we can divide this by 10. That's the big numbers here. So there's 10 of these in a meter. You know what that's called?
Meter stick?
No, 10. There's 10. You add a prefix on the front and the end. No, we're getting to that one. Nice. Notice we're trying to tap that prior knowledge. It's called a decimeter. There's 10 decimeters in a meter. We can divide a decimeter by 10, and that gets us to centimeters, which those of us speak Spanish, cien means 100. So a centimeter, there's 100 centimeters in here. Then we can take a centimeter, which is right there, and divide it by 10. And that gets us what? A millimeter. Nice. So there's 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. 1,000 millimeters, 1 meter. Well, we're still not to micrometer. A micrometer, so let's take a millimeter, it's right there. If I could zoom in on that millimeter to where that millimeter looked like a meter stick, a micrometer would be right there. A micrometer is 1,000th of a millimeter, or 100,000ths of a meter. So is it small?
No.
Right? I just say very small and small, because it's microscopic. Let me show you a little thing off of my computer. It helps me visualize. I really like visual stuff to help me learn. Hopefully some of you, it's helping you out. So if I look over here, and I go to how big, sweet. This animation right here shows us the pin and the head of a pin, and it shows us if we would zoom in. Notice we're now going to magnify 10 times. Now this right here means 2 millimeters, and we start to see a human hair. If we keep magnifying, we can then see another thing called a dust mite, which is right there. Which dust mites are really gross. If you ever want to research it and get grossed out, please do. They're really small. If we go now, we've magnified 100 times. Now we see micrometers, and we start to see some smaller things down here. The next thing we come up on is called ragweed pollen. How many of you are allergic to pollen out there? Quite a few of us, right? Do you know what pollen actually is? No. Close. Notice pollen, like this pollen right here is from ragweed. Pollen is the sperm of plants. Isn't that gross to think about? Because those plants and trees out there, they make sperm through meiosis. They spread them out through the air, hoping to find an egg cell somewhere to fertilize. And it gets stuck in your nose and you start getting allergies, and that's so gross to think about. Sorry, my job to scare your world. The next thing we have is what's called a lymphocyte. This is a white blood cell. Then we have red blood cells. Yes.
I want that one.
We keep sitting here, we can see some baker's yeast. If we keep magnifying now we're at 2 micrometers. We start to see E. coli, staphylococcus, which causes some pneumonia. You might get
I will check to see if one of the bathrooms is locked. My hair is frizzy. I don't like it. I don't know how I don't know if it will get today. I just need to add my crap. I need to use the bathroom so I can get out of class real quick. So I can fix my hair really quick just to get it unfrizzed a little bit. And so I can talk to y'all just a little bit. I messed everything.
Yeah, but it was no. You got one? No. Oh. Why do you know?
Put some water on my hair so that it's not frizzing like it was a second ago. Now I actually look, and now it's not frizzy. The reason I say I look like crap is because the rest of the house I wasn't able to do anything this morning besides get dressed. The only time I had this morning was to get dressed and throw my shoes on and get my backpack together. Didn't have time to go to the bathroom, wash my face, throw concealer on the spots that needed or anything like that.
There's a jacket, orange jacket, red button. Wait, no. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Nice. Next time, make sure you take it. Okay, so cells have got to be small. Okay, got to be efficient to do their jobs. We have prokaryote versus eukaryote. Okay, all right. The last thing we're going to do the next thing, sorry, not last thing. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to watch a video that relates prokaryotes, and eukaryotes. Okay, while we watch the video, I would like you to list 3 facts from the video. Okay, it's a 5.5 minute video. We'll watch the video. It'll talk about prokaryotes, eukaryotes. It reviews a lot of our notes today. Remember, we're trying to study because after the video, I'll have you turn in your notes and then do a daily quiz or a lesson quiz, if you want to call it. Because next class period, I'm going to test you on what you know about the cell theory. Okay? What you know about the cell theory. Cue up the video. Turn my sound back on. Okay, so here's the video. As you watch the video, list 3 facts or 3 things you learned, 3 things you thought were interesting, okay, to help you as you're studying for that lesson quiz after the video and the mid-unit quiz next class period. All right, here we go.
I'll never forget a circular red spot I developed on my arm when I was in elementary school. It left a lasting memory in my mind because it was something called ringworm. And with my active imagination, I thought I was now infected with a ring-shaped worm. I learned you gotta be careful about names because ringworm isn't caused by a worm at all. It's actually a fungus, which it turns out is pretty common and can be carried by many things like pets or soil. And since up to that point I was used to antibiotics as a way to treat infections, I assumed I'd be given antibiotics. But I wasn't. I was given an antifungal cream instead, and it went away. So it made me wonder, what made it different from the bacteria that had made me sick in the past? Why wasn't I given antibiotics? Well, antibiotics target bacteria. Antibiotics can destroy bacteria by affecting their ability to reproduce, damaging their cell walls, or interfering with their ability to make proteins that they need to survive. Just some examples. But it turns out bacterial cells and fungal cells are very different cell types. In fact, fungal cells have more in common with your cells, which are animal cells, than they have in common with bacterial cells. And that has a lot to do with the comparison of prokaryotic cells with eukaryotic cells, which is what we will focus on. First, just a refresher, recall that the modern cell theory includes a statement that all living things are made of one or more cells. All living things. In the 3 domains of life, prokaryotes are organisms that can be bacteria or archaea. They are unicellular, which means they are single-celled organisms. Eukaryotes are organisms that fit all in this last domain, eukarya. Eukaryotes can be protists, plants, animals, or fungi. They can be unicellular or they can be multicellular, which means they can be made up of many cells, like you. By the way, just to clarify, the word prokaryote is typically used to refer to the organism itself. When you are describing its cell, you are describing a prokaryotic cell. Say for eukaryote. Eukaryote typically refers to the organism itself, and when you are describing its cells, those are eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells do have a lot in common. Both have DNA. That's critical because DNA is the cell's genetic material. Both prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells have ribosomes, which are small organelles, an organelle being like a tiny organ. The ribosomes have the important job of making proteins. Gotta make protein. Both cells have cytoplasm, the jelly fluid within cells. Both of them have a cell membrane, also known as a plasma membrane, which is critical because it controls what goes in and out of the cell, and therefore maintaining homeostasis. All cells have a cell membrane. Now, as for cell walls, most prokaryotic cells have cell walls. Many eukaryotic cells, plant cells and fungal cells, for example, can have cell walls. But there are plenty of eukaryotic cells that don't have cell walls, such as animal cells. What makes prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells different is especially interesting. Eukaryotic cells are more complex than prokaryotic cells. They tend to be larger than most prokaryotic cells. And to help me remember some more differences in this next part, I like to remember that pro in prokaryote rhymes with no, and eu in eukaryote rhymes with do. Prokaryotic cells have no nucleus to contain their DNA, so you will find their DNA is not contained within a nucleus. It's a bit messy here. They have no membrane-bound organelles. Membrane-bound organelles are fancy organelles that have their own membrane, like the nucleus, mitochondria, the endoplasmic reticulum, and the Golgi apparatus. A big indicator of eukaryotic cells is this nucleus. Eukaryotic cells do have a nucleus to contain their DNA. Depending on what type of eukaryotic cell it is, it could have different types of membrane-bound organelles. For example, a plant cell is likely to have chloroplasts, while an animal cell would not. Wow, look at all this alphabetized vocabulary. If you want to try to practice your skills, pause the video and see how many of these vocabulary words you can use to compare and contrast prokaryotic cells with eukaryotic cells. It's important to grasp that all cells of living things fall in one of these two categories. In understanding the characteristics of these two cell types can help us better understand the diversity of living things, whether they are archaea, bacteria, protists, fungi, plants, or animals. And in the case of my example, realizing whether an infection you're dealing with involves prokaryotic cells, such as bacteria, or eukaryotic cells, such as the fungus. Well, that's it for the Mute Sisters, and remind you to stay curious.
Okay, so next thing I want you to do is share one of your facts with your table group. Share a fact you learned about the video with your table group. Awesome job. Okay, so you've shared your information with your table group. Okay, next thing you're going to do is you're going to upload a picture of your notes, okay, in Canvas. After you upload your notes, then you have a daily quiz. I've changed the name lesson quiz back to daily quiz. I'm tired of it. My brain won't shit. Notice the daily quiz will have questions on it to help you learn the information to know if you know it or not. Remember, I say no notes. You don't get to use those on the full or beginning quiz, so don't use them now. I expect you to have a 3 on it. You may need to take it multiple times. Okay? All right? So I will open up the notes right now. You can turn those in. Then you should work on the daily quiz. Make sure it's a 3 every time you take it.
Okay, so I had to read my notes video off
Okay, so turn your notes in, take a picture of both pages. Mine's only 1 page, if yours is 2, take pictures of both. Okay, and then start working on the daily quiz for the class, or the cell theory. Ideally, you'll have over 90% for assignments, daily quizzes today, so you have no homework. Some of you will have homework because you need to get stuff done. You're way behind.
What? I have apple juice. I know. No, the day before. When was it expired? I don't know. That's what I'm gonna drink once it expires.
Oh, next class? We have to do that next class?
We have a new unit quiz next class, so we should go for unit 2.
I'm gonna finish my notes.
July 31st of next year.
That's
My
right.
bad. What the heck?
Multitasking. It was like I was multitasking in the quiz yesterday. I am missing one thing, and I'm gonna get the video of this.
55. 15 minutes. Notice this is a great opportunity if you want to come talk about your grades. Get your grades you want.
The quality is so low you can't even like.
Yeah, I already saw you. It's just a matter of being able to clean out the kids out of here. The kids can hear. If you want me to sorry. I gave one to a kid the other day. He's like, oh, I like words and I can't read that. Go to that class. Take the table, yeah. I'll open that up. Take that. Oh, it's by your 8th grade teacher, which reminds me, bring it up. Go, tell them that. I have it on the, I have it on my computer already. If you need to know which lunch you have today, it's off your 7th grade teacher. I have the list of those up on the wall. The one left is first one. Right.
I got
Because you can go home.
yeah. I still have coffee. Hey, I should be.
No. 10 minutes. We have to keep time. Just do a thumbs up. It's great. Just do a thumbs up and get it out of your As many times you can. Every time you do that,
Creo que ahorita.
I don't remember any of this.
It said to come by during what time?
Go away.
Yes, tell her I'll get it done ready. She's not cool enough. Time out. You done this? Pull your grades out. You're right. Twins are nothing. They're not the same person.
No, it's an amigo.
You guys are
No, they're.
they look a lot alike.
We don't have any.
So I still can't give you a passing grade, but we're gonna get test corrections. Before we include this, write out the question. The answer is escape from
I got the minimum.
do that. Well, her grandma, and they live next door to each other their entire life, so. About 9 kids altogether.
No, no.